Welcome to Tea Time, a podcast about all things public education from the Texas Education Agency. As the TEA launched the A through F accountability system in August 2018, we sat down with Commissioner Morath to discuss his thoughts about the design of the system and what he wanted parents to know. As ratings for the 2017-2018 school year are now final and available online at texasschools.org, we bring you an excerpt from those previous conversations.
The system is made up of three areas that are looked at: student achievement, school progress, closing the gaps. Let's look at each one of them individually. What is in the student achievement domain?
Sure. The A through F, as it's been designed, has been designed to look at campuses three different ways. One based upon student achievement, one based upon school progress, and one based upon closing the gaps. In this way, we celebrate high levels of student achievement while also celebrating the impact of highly effective educator teams, while maintaining focus on the students perhaps in most need of our support. It is a very balanced, fair way to look at performance of campuses. Student achievement, if we think about that first domain, or the first way of looking at performance, is about what students know and what they can do at the end of the school year. And we look at it in a variety of different ways. We can look at in terms of what they've achieved. Have they graduated from high school? Are they ready for college, as you might see on an AP exam or by taking the SAT? Are they ready for a career? Do they have a industry-based credential, sort of a welding certification, that sort of thing? Or are they ready for the military? Did they actually enlist? In the earlier grades, we can also look at whether they're meeting grade level standards in reading, math, and in our other subject areas as found on the STAR test.
On school progress?
School progress is about comparing students, about determining how much better they are. In some cases, it's how much better they are than they were last year. So in that way, you look at the amount of academic growth that a student had. So you could have a student that is significantly below grade level from the prior year, but due to the tenacious work of our educators, grows more than a year in the one academic year that they have. That student still might not meet grade level by the end of the second year, but you can see that growth. So school progress looks at the growth of our students. It also looks at how much better schools are performing than schools that look similar to them. So if you're a school that has very high levels, for example, of student poverty, what we do with school progress is we can compare you to similar schools, so that if you're the highest performing school with that level of poverty, then clearly you're an A campus and worthy of being celebrated.
And finally, closing the gaps. That may be the one that people may not fully understand.
Sure. The first two domains look at all students in the aggregate. The closing the gaps domain, though, looks at different groups of students. It's going to look at different groups of students by race or by income. For example, looking at special education students, because we want to find out whether individual groups of students need more focused support and how well we're doing closing gaps between different groups of students. So the closing the gaps domain is really about that kind of specific focus on specific groups.
How is A through F a system that better informs a parent or a school board member or a superintendent as opposed to what we have been using, Met Standard or Improvement Required?
Sure. The transition from our pass-fail designation that we have now with Met Standard and Improvement Required to a tiered designation, A, B, C, D, F, sets up different levels of performance. Right now, if you go from Improvement Required to Met Standard, that is definitely worthy of celebration, but that's the end of the celebration. But what we want to do for all of our kids is, regardless of where we are today, we want to be better next week, and we want to be even better than that the week after. So the idea of A through F is it really sets up a continuous improvement conversation so that wherever we are, we can strive to be better and stronger in our academic support for our kids.
In addition to just the ratings, there's now a website for parents, school leaders, community leaders, pretty much anyone can go and go beyond the rating label, whether it be A, B, C, D, F, or Met Standard Improvement Required. Texschools.org, txschools.org. If someone goes to that website, what will they see?
So we try to design texasschools.org to be as easy to understand for folks as possible. So you can type in the name of a campus or you can type in the name of a school, and immediately you will see that school's overall performance information. And you can stop there if you like, or you can dig deeper. And we put resources in there to help people understand how the ratings are calculated and the way that we look at performance. Generally speaking, we analyze performance of our campuses and our districts in three ways. One, based on student achievement. This is what students know and can do at the end of the school year. One, based on school progress. It's how much better the students are doing. And one, based on closing the gaps, how individual groups of students are doing as opposed to sort of the average student. And so you can look at performance in each of those areas individually if you're so interested, or you can just take a quick pulse check for how well performance landed this year. And then next year, when you come back to texasschools.org, you'll be able to see year-over-year comparisons because we will have been on the A3F system more than 1 year in a row. And of course, our desire is to keep it the same year in, year out to allow for that continuous improvement.
Once again, the website is txschools.org. We encourage you to visit that site. And thank you once again for joining us, Commissioner.
Thank you.
For more on this and other public education issues, visit our website at tea.texas.gov. For more Tea Time episodes, visit tea.texas.gov/podcast or look for us where you download your other podcasts. Join us again soon for another episode of Tea Time, a podcast from the Texas Education Agency.